Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. What is going on, everybody? I am Mac, back with another video. These are my Week 10 picks of the 2023 NFL season. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the box below. Firstly, I apologize for my camera angle. My webcam's busted, so this weekend I gotta go get another one. But yeah, man, we are halfway through the 2023 season already. As I had an okay week 9, I went 8-6. One game really saved me from having a 500 weekend. I switched from the Giants to the Raiders, seeing that I had the sense to go back and check out the Giants' offensive standings. So that saved me from having a 500 week. Otherwise, very average week for week 9. I went 8-6, puts me at 87-49 on the season. And week 10, this looks like it's going to be one of the hardest weeks of the season, and for all the wrong reasons. So once again, I took notes, and I have them all pulled up right here. So without further ado, let's just not waste any time. These are my Week 10 picks. Of course, we got 4 more teams on the bye. Kansas City, Miami, Philly, and the Rams are on the bye for Week 10. But let's not waste any more time. These are my Week 10 picks of the 2023 season. Oh, all I can say about this matchup right here is thank God it's taking place during my work hours, because even if I wasn't working, I wouldn't watch a single second of this one. Panthers and the Bears in Chicago. The 2 worst teams in the NFL possibly going at it. And just because I have to pick somebody, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears on this one. Yeah, as you can tell, this is easily my toilet bowl of the week. Hands down. No, not even a hesitation. Justin Fields was limited, so, there is a chance that he can play in this game. But honestly, who cares? I have to pick somebody. So I'm going to go Chicago here, just because they're the home team and just because Carolina just sucks. So give me the Bears. I really don't care about this one. Then, for the Sunday slate of games, we got the final Germany game of the season. And I believe this is the last international game of the season, if I'm not mistaken. But we got the Patriots and the Colts going at it in Germany, as the Colts are coming off a win over the Panthers last week, as their offense is starting to, be more productive, as I said last week, and their defense stepping up to the reins well. 2 pick sixes, I believe, on Bryce Young. I know they had at least one. But then the Patriots, they drop one at home to Washington, and they just continue to play poorly this year. The Patriots, believe it or not, are now the lowest seed in the AFC. Not that I'm complaining about it. As a matter of fact, I love it. But the Patriots, nothing has gone right for them this year. They're dealing with a lot of injuries on defense. I get that, but, nothing's clicking on offense. Belichick has been facing a lot of pressure. And while Indy's defense isn't really stout, they do give up a lot of big plays. I think the difference here is that the Colts are more confident with putting a drive together, and they have a more competent offense going into this one, where you're looking at Gardner Minshew against Mac Jones. The thing with Indy is that they need to capitalize a little bit more, and I trust them a little bit more offensively. So, tricky one, but I'm going to take the Colts just because I trust them more at this juncture, and I really don't know if I can pick the Patriots for the rest of the season. I may pick them against the Giants because I know they play the Giants this year, but other than that, I really don't see another winnable game for New England, so I'm going to go Indy to get the job done here over New England. Now we got the Sunday slate of games. Well, the regularly scheduled time games, I should say. Anyway, we got what could be a very good game in my opinion. We got the Houston Texans and the Cincinnati Bengals going at it in Cincinnati. Texans, a thrilling win last Sunday over Tampa Bay. C.J. Stroud had a phenomenal game in his rookie season, and he continues to impress the league, and myself included. 30 of 42, 470 yards passing, and 5 touchdown passes, including the game winner. As the Texans continue to be surprisingly competitive this year, and C.J. Stroud has to be etched up there with Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. What a story C.J. Stroud has been for Houston this year. And the Bengals, they're hitting their stride right now. They've won 4 straight games, coming off a Sunday night win over the Buffalo Bills, as they are part of this incredibly stacked and entertaining AFC North. It seems like the Bengals always hit their lengthy winning streaks at around this time of the season, like they've done in the past couple of seasons. Honestly, if I was a Bengals fan, I would definitely not take Houston lightly for this game, seeing that the progress that they've made this year and the story that C.J. Stroud has been. But like I seem to say every week about Houston, it's a big test for them. And while I certainly do think that they're more than capable of, keeping it close with the Bengals, I just think 7 points for the Bengals is too much for them. They are favored by 7 as I'm recording this video. So I'm actually going to go ahead and make this my spread of the week. I'm going to take the Bengals, but I like Houston actually with the points. I do think Houston can cover in this game because they have shown a lot of fight this season. And the Bengals, they've won 4 in a row, but still it's like you never really know if they're truly dominant or if they just have like these patterns just work in their favor for them. But in any case, I'm going to take Cincinnati, but I'm going to take Houston with the points. I'm going to say 27-24. Bengals win this one over Houston. Another tough one right here is we got the New Orleans Saints going to Minneapolis to play the Vikings, as the Vikings, they have been some battlers and they've been fighters over the past couple of weeks. They get off to an 0-4 start. Now they're on a winning streak. They lose Kirk Cousins for the rest of the season. They lose Hall with a concussion. Justin Jefferson misses some time with his injury, and there's a chance he can come back for this game. Now they lose Akers with an Achilles injury, and he's out for the season as well. And then at the deadline, they go ahead and get Josh Dobbs from Arizona. And all Josh Dobbs did was lead a fourth quarter comeback win against the Atlanta Falcons last week, where he barely got to know any of his new teammates' names. That's pretty impressive right there. And all of a sudden, the Minnesota Vikings are right back in the NFC playoff picture. So you got to give the Vikings a lot of credit. They have fought through a lot of adversity through this season so far. The Saints are playing well as well. They got a really good stingy defense. The offense is clicking a little bit, but they looked a little shaky against the Chicago Bears. I mean, they didn't really look dominant against them, and that's a game that I thought the Saints were going to win pretty easily, but the Bears hung in with them a little bit. Like I said, Josh Dobbs, he's going up against a stingy defense this week, but I have every reason to believe that Josh Dobbs is going to give it his all this week. Even when he was with the Cardinals, he was giving 100% effort every single week. And his team was able to pull off a victory against Dallas, and then he was able to pull off a come-from-behind win against Atlanta. They have a good defense too. The Saints, as I keep saying, their defense is really good, but New Orleans' defense is kind of disappointing me a little bit this year. While the Vikings, I can't really say that I can see them going far without 2 of their best targets missing some time. However, The Vikings have a history of doing the Saints dirty, whether it's in the playoffs or the regular season. And I honestly think that's going to come to fruition again. I'm going Minnesota on this one. I really like the Vikings in this matchup here. I like the momentum they have. I like their never say die attitude right here. And even with some players out, Justin Jefferson coming back for this game most likely is a big confidence booster for him in this game. So I'm actually going to go Minnesota to get the job done over the Saints here. That's a big shot of adrenaline, by the way, for Josh Dobbs. So give me Minnesota here. Now we got my matchup on the books. We got the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers going at it at Heinz Field, rematch of Super Bowl 45, which was the worst moment for me as a Steeler fan. More of this in my preview coming up on Friday. But we got the Packers and the Steelers. So for the first time in quite a while, I'm actually coming into this game with some confidence, because these two teams are almost so much alike. They almost mirror each other. Both teams have been incredibly anemic offensively. Jordan Love is just not getting the job done in Green Bay, like how Kenny Pickett is, let's face it, he's just not lived up to advertise in Pittsburgh. And Green Bay does have a strong defense, which is definitely going to cause a lot of problems for Kenny Pickett and this offensive line going into this matchup here. And the Steelers, like I said in my video about the AFC North, we haven't seen this defense be completely maxed out this year, because one injury after another has set the defense back and has allowed them to give up a lot of chunky plays. Does Cam Hayward come back for this game? I think there's a good chance that he is. I got to look more into it. I didn't get a chance to see the press conference for Tomlin, but I like Cam Hayward's chances of coming back for this game, because I think that's going to give a big confidence booster to our rush defense here. And Green Bay's offense is very predictable when Aaron Jones gets the ball here. That is a tall order, to stop Aaron Jones, because he's a very efficient runner. But I feel like if this defense comes alive here, they generate a pass. They generate a pass rush. They get up in Jordan Love's face, and the secondary just continues to come up with some good turnovers here. I think we have a really good chance of beating the Green Bay Packers here. Like I said, these two teams do not light up the scoreboard with one iota offensively. But at least with the Steelers, there are times where the play calling actually looks good, and Kenny Pickett does have a knack for fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. Now, of course, like I emphasized this a million times already, we have to play a complete full game of football. But I think the biggest benefit for us coming into this game here, we're coming off a Thursday game, which was at home. Now we stay at home with 10 days rest, not having to go anywhere. And this is the third and final game of this 3-game home stretch that we had. That is a huge, huge benefit for the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Sunday. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and take my guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, to get the job done over Green Bay. Do I expect it to be sloppy? Yes. Do I expect it to be low scoring? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I think the Steelers are slightly more defined offensively when it comes to play calling and execution. While the Packers, they just kind of seem to be like a one-man show. I don't know if I can fully trust Green Bay. Sure, they beat the LA Rams, but they had Brett Rippon starting that game for LA, and they just got Carson Wentz today as I'm talking. But yeah, it's like, I don't think we're going to be held to just 3 points on Sunday. We had too much rest and too much time to prepare. I'm going to go Pittsburgh to get the job done over the Green Bay Packers here. Next, we got another tough one. We got the Tennessee Titans going down to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers, as the Titans, well, they were the team that we beat last Thursday. And unlike us, a huge disadvantage for Tennessee is that they stay on the road. They're going from Pittsburgh down to Tampa Bay. Big disadvantage right there for Tennessee. Yes, Will Levis has been named the starter for the rest of the season for the Titans, and I believe that he is a big upgrade at this point over Ryan Tannehill and anyone else who they decide to start at quarterback. But the Titans, they are just consistently inconsistent this year. They got a good pass rush. They got a defense that's able to limit opponents, but the Titans, I mean, they just can't find any consistency at all with this season. Derrick Henry starting to get shut down a little bit more, and they got some talent as far as the weaponry goes, but Tennessee, I mean, they're just not cutting it. Then you got the Buccaneers. They played a great game against Houston until C.J. Stroud just had that amazing comeback win, but still not a knock at Tampa Bay. They played well enough to win. It's just the defense folded and weren't able to stop C.J. Stroud when it mattered most. I don't think Will Levis strikes me as that kind of quarterback, at least not yet, that can do that for Tennessee. He's got a really good arm, and I think he's definitely going to test out Tampa Bay's defense in this game. But overall, the Titans, they have just not done well on the road at all recently. And I still believe the last time they won a road game was last year when they went to Lambeau and beat the Packers. Now they're going down to Tampa Bay after a gut-wrenching Thursday night loss to us. While generally I give the advantage to the team that played Thursday, sometimes I go against it, and that's what I'm going to do here. I like Tampa Bay offensively. I think their defense gets back in check. I think they do have a good pass rush that can get up to Will Levis. But I'm going to go Tampa Bay to get the job done here over Tennessee and get that bad taste out of their mouth that they had against Houston. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay here. Possibly the hardest game for me to pick this week, as we have the 49ers at the Jaguars down in Duval County. And here's the reason why right off the bat this was the hardest one for me to pick. Both these teams are not only going in different directions. As the 49ers start off 5-0, they've lost 3 straight since then. Sure, they got belted with injuries along the way, and I think Deebo Samuel's questionable himself for this game. But they've lost 3 straight. Brock Purdy has not looked good lately. He's been kind of sloppy with the ball, which is just uncharacteristic-like for him. So the 49ers, I mean, they're hitting a bum road right now. Then you got Jacksonville. They got off to a slow start, and they have won 5 in a row, and they are 6-2 leading the AFC South. Jacksonville's off to their best start in years, and they're playing great football right now. But the biggest thing here for me personally, both of these teams are coming off their bye week. That's right, both teams had their byes in week 9. 49ers, last time they played, they got demolished at home by the Bengals. Jaguars, last time they played, they went into Pittsburgh and beat us. However, I will say this about the Jags, and I am not diminishing anything that they've done. Because at the end of the day, wins are wins in the NFL, and you need to collect them by any means necessary. It's not like Jacksonville looked dominant against us. I mean, they had a couple of big splash plays against us, but overall, they didn't really play all that well against us. They turned the ball over 3 times against us. Trevor Lawrence was definitely feeling the heat at times. And you know, it was just that one big play, that one big touchdown pass that really just put the game out of reach. Other than that, I really wasn't, super impressed with the way Jacksonville played against us. And the 49ers, like I said, they are banged up. They are injured. They're on a bum losing streak right now. But when the 49ers are fully healthy and when they click together, they are one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL. So something's got to give here. The team that's on a bad losing streak and the team that's on a slump or the team that is on a lengthy winning streak and seems to have everything go right for them right now. Something's got to give. But I got to say this about the 49ers. And I know some people are not going to like me saying this about them. I think the 49ers just do one up the Jaguars in this game for one reason. It's because CMC is probably going to play in this game, and Jacksonville's pass rush, it doesn't really strike me outside of Josh Allen. It doesn't strike me as that physical kind of defense that can make the quarterback hurry to make a decision, other than Josh Allen, like I just said. So, who am I going to go with here? I'm going to go with the 49ers. I think they snap their losing streak here. I think they have a couple more advantages in this game than the Jaguars do. And overall, I think I just trust San Francisco to snap this losing streak more than Jacksonville to extend it here. Plus, the Jags are probably going to be without Zay Jones for this game as well. He is listed as questionable, but we'll see. But I am going to go San Francisco here after much thought, because the bye week for the 49ers, it could not have come at a better time for them. They get blown out at home by the Bengals. They're injured. They're banged up. They need a break. What do you know? Week 9's their bye week. Perfect timing. And I think the 49ers are fully rested coming in this game despite going on the road. I'm going to go San Francisco to get the job done here and snap the losing streak. Next up, we got my rivalry of the week, as it is the Cleveland Browns going into Baltimore to play the Ravens, as the Browns pitched a shutout against the Arizona Cardinals 27-0. As sure, Clayton Tune started that game for Arizona, but the Browns defense just continues to be dominant this year, and they pitch a shutout against Arizona. Deshaun Watson did enough to win the game. The Browns offense didn't really need to do a whole lot, but they did enough necessary to get a shutout win, and they're 5-3 on the year. And then speaking of dominant wins, the Ravens 37-3 all over Seattle last Sunday. As I thought Baltimore would win that game, but I didn't think they'd blow them out like that. I mean, good Lord, man. 37-3. Ravens are clicking on all cylinders offensively. Their defense is really looking good, and as much as I hate to admit it as a Steeler fan, the Ravens honestly look like the best team in the AFC right now. Sure, the Ravens are prone to second half collapses, and fingers crossed for me personally, I hope that's the case again, because they do have a tough schedule the rest of the way. But if I'm being honest with you right now, the Ravens honestly look like the best team in the AFC. Last time when these two teams met, it was no different. The Ravens blew out the Browns, but the Browns did have their backup quarterback in that game. So maybe Deshaun Watson playing in this game can make a difference a little bit for Cleveland, and I think it will, But here's the thing. The thing that separates me from picking Cleveland in this game, it's the elephant in the room in Kevin Stefanski. He is just not a really good play caller offensively. And going up against, an elite defense that the Ravens have, you have to be smart with play calling, and you have to know what you're doing on the field there. The Ravens, they have just looked absolutely flawless offensively so far, and I just think that's the biggest takeaway here. So I'm going to say Baltimore completes the sweep of the Browns here, just because it's hard to pick against the Ravens at this point right now. They're blazing hot right now. I do think the Browns will keep it close just because it's a divisional game and just because, it's AFC North football, or pretty much like the hood of the NFL, if you will. But if I'm being honest with you, I'm going to go Baltimore to complete the sweep of the Browns. Now for the later Sunday afternoon games, we got the Atlanta Falcons going down to Arizona to play the Cardinals, as I don't know what's going on with Atlanta, but they're looking like a team that I can't trust with Pick'em right now. They dropped 2 in a row after I say they're the best team in the NFC South. And that defense has just really been set back for him. I don't know what Arthur Smith is doing down there in Atlanta, but he just continues to horribly misuse that offense that the Falcons have. Sure, I think Taylor Heineke is a better upgrade over Desmond Ridder at this point, but the fact that they continue to shy away from Bijan Robinson just mystifies me, man. Atlanta, they are now 4-5 on the year, coming off a gut-wrenching loss to the Vikings last week. Then you got the Arizona Cardinals. Like I just mentioned, they got shut out by the Browns in Cleveland. However, there is a little bit of good news for Arizona despite the fact that they're 1-8 on the year. Kyler Murray is likely to start in this game for the Cardinals as he is fully recovered from his ACL injury, as it looked like the only reason that the Cardinals started Clayton Tune was because, hey, we know that we got Kyler Murray come back next week. I think he gives us the best chance at winning. And that might be the reason that they shipped off Josh Dobbs over to Minneapolis. Granted, I do think Josh Dobbs is a fighter, and I do think that he was, a good, serviceable backup for what the Cardinals had. But I'm proud of Josh Dobbs. As a Steeler fan, I'm rooting for him. He's one of our former guys. He never stood a chance in Pittsburgh because, like I kept mentioning, we got Josh Dobbs when Big Ben was in the twilight of his career, and there was no way we were going to let that go. So Kyler Murray is most likely to start in this one. Atlanta's offense in general is just very questionable. Common sense would say, yeah, I'm going to take Atlanta's defense to step up here because Kyler Murray's going to be very rusty. But get ready for this, guys. I'm making this my upset, baby. That's right. This is my upset of the week. I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals, man. I think they get the job done in Kyler Murray's return. They take advantage of a slumping Atlanta team that just does not look like they know what they're doing right now. And I'm being completely honest with you. Arizona's been very competitive in a lot of their games this year. And that's why I think they can get the job done here. Not that I think Kyler Murray's a great quarterback. I think he's above average in my opinion. But like I said, I think he gives Arizona the best chance at winning. And with the way Atlanta's looked, I don't know if I can trust Atlanta. I am going to take the Arizona Cardinals to get the job done over the Falcons in my upset of the week. Next, we got the Lions at the Chargers. This one is in LA. The Lions are coming off their bye, as the last time they played, they got a win over the Raiders on Monday Night Football in Detroit, while the Chargers are coming off spanking the Jets on Monday Night Football themselves. So both these teams are coming off Monday night wins pretty much. The Chargers, they looked really good against the Jets. That's not really saying much, though, because the Jets' offense let them down big time when the Jets' defense was the only reason that they were even in that game. But you got to give credit where it's due. I mean, the Chargers, they're another team that's very up and down. They got off to that slow start. They've been picking up some wins ever since then. But the Lions, I mean, sure, they had that one terrible game against the Baltimore Ravens a couple weeks ago. But the Lions, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like that Dan Campbell's letting that game faze them. And they're still a really solid team and a really dangerous team. The point is, they're not the Jets. They got a really good offense, and they are just a bunch of fighters, man. That Lions team is going to be tough to beat if they make the playoffs. Another thing here, the Lions are fully rested. I do not trust Justin Herbert against good teams, kind of like how I don't trust Kirk Cousins against good teams. I'm going to go Detroit here to get a win off their bye week and improve to 7-2. I could see LA winning this game, but I think I think it comes down to coaching here. And at this point, I trust Dan Campbell way more than I trust Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley is one of the worst coaches in the league, if I'm being honest with you. While Dan Campbell, he still has my vote for Coach of the Year. I like Detroit in this matchup. They're fully rested. They got a good offense. They got an underrated defense, in my opinion. And I think that they'll be able to go into LA and beat the Chargers. So give me the Lions here. Giants and the Cowboys in Dallas. Not much else to say, but this is easily my lock of the week. Just when you think it can't get any worse for the Giants, they lose 30-6 to the Raiders, a team that just got Antonio Pierce as their head coach when they cleaned house at the deadline pretty much. A team that didn't even score 21 points in a single game up until last week. And now Daniel Jones is done for the season with a torn ACL. And just to make matters worse, it doesn't make sense for the Giants to tank for Caleb Williams, seeing that this is year one of Daniel Jones' extension. So that Tommy DeVito guy is going to be their starter the rest of the way. And the last thing they want to do is go up against the Cowboys, who have not only owned the Giants over the past 5-6 years, but the Cowboys are coming off an incredibly tough loss in Philly, where they were at the goal line, then they just blew the game away. So Dallas is coming into that game super pissed off, in my opinion. Cowboys, not even close. The only question I have for this game is 17 too much for the Cowboys? Because as I'm recording this video, they're favored by 17. And that's it. That's the only question I have about this game. Will they be able to cover the 17? I think they can, but we'll see. Regardless, though, by far my lock of the week. Next, we got the Washington Redskins and the Seattle Seahawks going at it in Seattle. Honestly, this game could be sneaky good. You know, Sam Howell, for as much as he gets sacked behind that offensive line, and for as much as people think that he's just not the guy because of the team he plays for, here's a fun fact. Sam Howell's actually second in the league in passing yards behind Tua Tagovailoa. You know, he's actually doing the best he can out there, and I do think that Washington does have their quarterback going for him right now. However, Washington sold that defense that they had at the trade deadline, and it looks like that Washington, it's just been a big disappointment with their defense, man. They sold it at the deadline, and they're just in for an overhaul right now. Then you got the Seahawks. They're coming off getting blown out by the Ravens. Like I said, they're coming back home. They're still a really good team, and they still lead the NFC West as I'm recording this video, I believe. And the Seahawks can definitely score some points, so I think Washington is going to really kind of regret what they did with the defense at the deadline. So I'm going to go Seattle here, although I can see Washington giving them a good game because Seattle's pass defense and their defense in general still is a work in progress, and I think it's prone to giving up a lot of big plays, as it clearly saw in that Ravens game and in most of the Browns game as well. But I'm going to go Seattle to get the job done over Washington and get off the schneid here, rebound pretty well from that terrible loss that they had to Baltimore. Well. The NFL really had a big swing and a miss with these primetime games this week, and that's putting it lightly. Sunday Night Football is between the Jets and the Raiders in Vegas, so this looks like another game to where I'm probably not going to watch it. I'm going to do whatever, but we got the Jets and the Raiders. Like, I get it. No one could have predicted Rodgers would miss the whole season with his injury, and that's probably why this is still a primetime game. But still, big swing and a miss once again with primetime games. The Jets are coming off a Monday night loss where the defense played really well. It's just that the offense was just very anemic in that game against the Chargers, where Zach Wilson just couldn't get anything going. Like, as soon as the Chargers returned that punt for a touchdown, I knew LA was going to win. So the Jets, I mean, they're just let down by the offense. And then you take a look at their opponent in the Raiders. Like I mentioned, they failed to score 21 points in a single game up until last Sunday. But when the team has a players-only meeting on Josh McDaniels, who they finally fired at the deadline and replaced with Antonio Pierce, I think that says a lot about the morale and the mentality that this Raider team has been facing. They have been held back by Josh McDaniels all this time, and now it's starting to come together as they had a really good game against the Giants. Granted, the Giants are probably the worst team in the NFL behind Chicago and Carolina. You have an argument for any one of those three teams, and you can't go wrong, in my opinion. But Josh Jacobs is starting to find a stride. The offense is starting to get together going. Devontae Adams is still a stud. I think it comes down to who I think has more confidence coming into this game. And while I do think the Jets defense is absolutely going to step up to the reins in this game, I don't know. For some reason, I just think the Raiders are more in my favor here because they have newfound life with coaching and they're starting to get their act together offensively. That one game where they score 30 points, it's amazing how much confidence that it can build up. So I'm going to go with the Raiders to get the job done over the Jets here, as I'm starting to lose some faith in the Jets. Wrapping up Week 10. This is, honestly, my trap game of the week right here. Broncos and the Bills on Monday Night Football in Buffalo, as the Bills have gotten a lot of primetime games this year too. Anyway, the reason that I say that this is a trap game is simple. Josh Allen leads the league in interceptions, number one. Number two, the Bills are 2-2 in their last 4 games. And honestly, you have a legit argument that they should be 0-4 in their last 4 games. At the very best, 1-3. They did not look good at all Sunday night against the Bengals. And that waste of a challenge by Sean McDermott was real head-scratching, as it cost Buffalo pretty much their only chance to come back and win. That's number 2. And finally, number 3. The Denver Broncos, I think, are coming off their bye, if I'm not mistaken. And the last time they played, the defense suffocated Kansas City's offense as they finally beat the Chiefs. As in the first matchup with Kansas City, the defense played strong as well, and they did whatever they could to keep Kansas City off the board. So Denver, they're playing tough right now. At least defensively they are, and they seem to have some more confidence along the way. Whereas, like I said, Josh Allen leads the league in interceptions this year. Buffalo has struggled mightily this year, and that's why this is my trap game of the week. I honestly could see Denver pulling off the upset, and this is definitely one of the games that's on upset watch for me this week. But if I'm being honest with you, I like the Bills in this matchup here because, you know, it's kind of been like a pattern from them. They lose, they win, they lose, they win, they lose, and if you follow it, I think a win is to follow here. I think with the extra day of rest that they get, that's going to serve as a benefit for them. But like I said, Denver's fully rested as well, as they're coming off their bye week. I definitely do think Denver is more than capable of covering this game. But I don't really see, you know, this is kind of like a last chance thing for me for the Bills. You know, they were so close to losing the Giants. They lose in London to the Jaguars, and then they lose to New England and Cincinnati. So it's like, I'm starting to lose some faith in the Bills. I really don't think that they're I really just don't think that they're a good team right now. I think they're going through a big slump right now, and they need something to get themselves together. This might be the game to do it. But like I said, Denver, they're no slouches as of late. So I'm going to go Buffalo to get the job done here, although it would not surprise me if Denver at least covered this game. But give me Buffalo to win. That'll do it. Those are my Week 10 picks of the 2023 NFL season. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And tourney members, let me see them picks. This is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.